thanks so much for coming, guys, for inviting us here to 98.7. Love it. Just thought we'd just kind of jam a little bit on kind of your experiences on our program, what you loved, what was hard. We can kind of get into some of these different topics, but I thought we'd kind of start with just why us? Why Revitalize? Why did we end up choosing? Well, we know why you chose.
Yeah.
Because this guy
dogged
you into it.
Yeah.
Because I chose first?
Right, exactly. Well, Vinny set the bar pretty much for everybody, and Vinny, I've known him for 20 years now, and when Vinny got onto the program, a couple things that I noticed was the rapid weight loss and the fact that he was able to do so without killing everybody in his vicinity. And it kind of speaks to the idea of losing weight without it being a torturous process. And I think that's really, really important in all of this.
Yeah. So the reason why I chose is I had actually spoken to other weight loss programs, and there was always something that I went, yeah, that's not for me. And it was either, powdered foods or boxed foods or a meal plan that you had to sign up for, injection surgery, whatever it was. So when I sat down with you guys for that introductory meeting, and you talked about what Revitalize was all about, all real food that you shop for and prepare, nothing from a bag, nothing from a box. You advertised what the coaching was like, but that didn't even really resonate until I was in the program. All of those things, I was all in.
Yeah. And what, let's not bury the lead. What was the hardest part about it? I mean, was it like having to prepare meals when you're just like, I'm not used to this?
Yeah.
Is it tell me.
Yeah, for me, the hardest thing was the food preparation, because I'm all thumbs with that kind of thing. And fortunately, my wife did the program, and my wife came into this, and she had done one of these previous diet programs in her past, and it was basically powdered foods that you would put into some sort of like formula, and then put it into like a waffle maker. So every meal she had looked like little waffles, right? Wow. And she had stomach aches every day. And I'm like, I wonder why. And I'm like, there's a better way than this. And what was hard for me was getting into a rhythm, the food preparation, but fortunately I had somebody who could help me with that. My goals were different than Vinny's. Vinny's went big. Vinny wanted to lose a lot of weight. I wanted more of the internal wellness component blended. Rebalancing everything, because I desperately needed that. And I got that right away. And my sleeping got so much better. My mental acuity got so much better right out of the box. And I think it's all because of that, because it's organic. You're eating real foods, and there's no replacement for that.
Yeah. Toughest thing for me was probably the beginning, and I'm sure you hear that a lot, is just that transition from everyday life, and here I am now, I'm in the 40 days of weight loss, and it took a couple of days to get used to it. What pushed me through that difficulty was I'm one of these people that I like to see immediate results. That's why I've never really been a gym person, because I want to go work out once and then I want to be ripped. It doesn't work that way. But for weight loss, every day that I stepped on the scale, when I started my day, stepped on the scale, and that number went down. And I charted it every day on a whiteboard. Yeah. So to see that number continually go down, I was like, this is working. And it gets you past those tough times when you see that number changing.
Yeah.
Were you hungry when you were on the program?
No. On a couple of occasions early on, maybe a little bit of hunger, but once your body adapts to your new style of nutrition and your eating habits and the timing of your meals, I really wasn't. And I would tell people that all the time, and they would say, well, you're only eating this many meals a day or this many calories per day. And I said, it doesn't matter, my body has adjusted to it.
Yeah, and I actually had the opposite experience. Getting into my specific program was I had supplements and I had water in the morning. Then I had 2 squares, lunch and dinner, within a 6-hour time frame. To me, I almost had too much food. Mm-hmm. I got to the point where I was like, I can't believe that this is actually a weight loss program. And to me, it's funny because there are so many voices out there and there is so much noise about weight loss. Yeah. And people get thrown off so easily by so many things. Phil Mickelson in golf decided to go on a fast. Okay, so he fasted for like 4 or 5 days, and he dropped all this weight, and he created a social viral sensation about it because he had lost this weight fasting. And I remember telling somebody about this. That's all well and good in the short term, but at some point in time, Phil Mickelson's going to want to eat again. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the point is that with Revitalize, there's a sustenance to this program that you can't get elsewhere. Yeah. When you get on these bars, shakes, powders, fasting routine, you can't sustain it.
No.
Exactly. Well, and I think that's the thing. Like, there obviously bears some similarities to the two programs, and probably bears some similarities to mine. But we have to change it based on, hey, I am a little bit hungry in the morning. All right, well, let's add this. Let's change this. Are we getting enough of that? And so the food and supplement protocol one person's on is different for another person. Like, none of us here are postmenopausal women. Why would we be on the same program as a postmenopausal woman? So we really want to say, like, what does your day need to look like? What what are your needs?
But that's based on some of the technology as well. And that's where we were both at a symposium with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was really cool. He came in and he spoke at the meeting, and he talked about what his training looked like in the mid-'70s. It was 2 sessions per day, 8 hours per day in the gym lifting weights. Now, modern day bodybuilders, 3 days a week in the gym, an hour and a half. And they say 20% of their bulk comes from being in the gym. 80% of their bulk comes from diet and nutrition.
Wow.
And that's based on technology.
Wow.
We have the technology that takes so much of that guesswork out so that we can get this printout and it will say, here's the foods your body responds to versus you, and that's why you're not hungry.
That's inspiring. So my dream of being a bodybuilder is not
It's
dead.
still alive. Yeah, that's
That's
right.
right.
That's right.
I love it.
Still 3 days a week.
Yeah, that's still a commitment. You're right.
So I think we get a lot of questions from folks who are like, what should I expect on the first visit? And I'm always I think when you came in for your initial, we were sitting down, we were getting ready to put you on the device, and I like turned around and you were like starting to take your shirt off, and I was like, whoa, keep
Yeah,
your
right,
clothes-
right.
keep your
That's right.
clothes on.
That's right, I was. I remember
and I think
that.
some people are like, what do I get naked?
I thought you were going to bring out some calipers.
Yeah, right.
Right,
Everybody's like,
exactly.
what
yeah.
the heck?
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know. I guess, like, my hope is that people would just kind of get diffused and be like, I get to go sit and eat and eat with these guys, but what advice would you give somebody who's maybe on the fence or like, oh, they're kind of on the east side, I live on the west side. Is it worth it? Are you going to get value from that first visit? What were your fears?
I've had, like Vinny, I've had countless people ask me about Revitalize. The first question is always the same. Does it really work? Yes, it really works. Then what's it all about? What is the program like? I have told everybody that the biometric technology that you guys have is so off the hook unbelievable that it's almost worth the visit to get that information in and of itself. So if they're not candidates for the program, and I don't know who wouldn't be, the information, when you look at your own biochemistry, you're like, wow. It's for those who don't have a scientific bent to them, seeing that kind of information, you're just like, you're astounded by it. And then to see it put into action and crafted into a highly evolved plan, it's very inspiring. Yeah. Because of the science that you guys provide, that's the foundation of everything, it inspires just tremendous confidence, at least it did with me, that what you're doing, you're going down the right path.
Sure.
Because, and I say this all the time to people who ask about the program, when you emotionally commit to losing weight, you can lose weight on any program in the short term. But is that program making you well? Is it serving your body? Is it serving your health? And is it serving your long-term interests? Most every other program, if not every other program I've ever seen, you can't check that box. You guys do.
And that's where we feel like we're so excited about our new partnership with the Phoenix Suns. We're their nutritional partners of the Suns, and the medical doctors, the trainers. These athletes are worth millions and millions of dollars, and they trust us with their health, and this technology's obviously caught their eyes, so we're really excited about the opportunities there.
Yeah, to echo what Vic said about the technology, I'm a skeptic by nature. So I did go in with a positive attitude, but we had talked initially before I ever met with you at the facility for my analysis about the technology. And you're like, okay, I'm curious to see what this is all about. I was blown away by the technology and what it told me, just to get the readouts on your visceral fat rating and your hydration level, and one that really popped off the page to me was my metabolic age. And I was 46 at the time. My metabolic age was late 60s. Wow. That's not where you want to be. Right. So it was eye-opening to me, and the fact that it was all individualized, and you get the detailed list of foods that are good and not so good. I was blown away by it. I had never really experienced anything like that before.
Yeah, it's cool stuff, and I mean, it really allows us to make more informed decisions, which is, I think, at the end of the day, people, that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know, like, what's best for me. Yeah, and kind of what we talked about.
And
yeah.
you mentioned about the Phoenix Suns being a nutrition partner for them. To me, that does say so much because their medical staff is prolific. They have a great reputation in the NBA. They know what they're doing. Nutrition is such a highly evolved component of the athletic process, and it's been ignored for many, many, many decades. That's obviously changed recently, and for the Phoenix Suns to get engaged on this level, like you said, they understand the value of that. And if they're entrusting $100 million athletes with it, then you know that this is legit.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
What here's a fun one. What, like, was something you're like, I never thought in my life I'd try this food or that thing? Was there anything you just like, all right, well, I'm going for it. I'm in the deep end now. Because I know Jasmine, one of the gals here, she was like, she would bring you some stuff.
Jasmine's
sometime.
like a gourmet chef, so
Okay.
and I'm not. I would go bare bones pretty much on my meal
Okay. I
prep
remember
and
you did that.
my cooking. So she would bring in some stuff and it tasted good. So I can't remember anything specifically.
Okay, nothing specific.
But I was, I'm not the person to ask. I was
Okay.
boring on that front during the
Okay.
whole process.
What about
Yeah,
Tammy?
no-
Did Tammy set up you? set you
No,
up for something that-
I pretty much got into a routine in terms of I'm kind of picky when it comes to seafood.
Okay,
So
yeah.
and that became a big part of what I was doing. So it was kind of like really a search mission to find the right kind of pieces of fish that I
Yeah.
wasn't getting sick of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff I think we love as a staff is like, hey, if you're not loving something, freaking call us. Like, you've got Doctor's cell phone number, although he's not going to give you very many good recipes. I mean, but our nutrition staff, they love that stuff. It's like, hey, try this, try preparing it this way. Oh, you didn't like it this time? Well, let's try it this way. So.
And we
And I-
just want to be so personalized, and we feel like no other weight loss program is as personalized as we are. We want to walk every step of the way, and we're just trying to figure out better and better ways to do that. But I think, isn't that a huge part of weight loss? Is because you go on a program and you're on an island. What do I do now? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that very thing. We work in the sports realm, so we're always talking about the success of athletes and how they're affected by coaches. I think there's an element to coaching in whatever you're trying to pursue that's very important in the ultimate goal. So my personal experience was, I put on some pounds long before I ever met with you guys, and I decided I'm going to lose weight. Didn't know how to do it. Didn't have that coaching. Lost some weight, put it all back on. The coaching is a huge component of all of it. I can't remember how many times I called you, Dan, about a question about a specific ingredient
Sure.
in something
Love
that
it.
I was shopping for, and you were always there to answer the questions. You advertise it, but you deliver it. The part about Dr. Aboud's cell phone number, that's not false. I have it in my phone. We still text on a regular basis. That level of support is very, very meaningful because it can be a challenge for some people to drastically change your life and the way you look at food. So to know that there's people in your corner is big.
And to echo that, the idea of coaching, I agree with everything you said. And there's a perspective that there's two types of people. There's some people, when it comes to coaching, they need a kick in the backside, and there's some people that need a pat on the head. Right? You guys, what I've experienced, because I'm much different than Vinny. Our personalities are dramatically different. I'm much more. Throw me in the pool. I'm gonna learn how to swim kind of guy.
Whereas I would drown.
Whereas you would where you'd be calling Dr. Aboud saying, "How do I swim? How do I do this?" So, but to me, what I really appreciated was, you guys have a really good feel for how to blend coaching with reinforcement with accountability. On the program, everybody gets to know Hal, right?
Yeah.
And the checking in every morning digitally with just weighing in. Quite literally weighing in, I think that's genius, personally. But all the coaching that I had ever received, I remember one time I came in for a follow-up and my hydration level had gotten better, but it wasn't great. And I just, the touch that your staff has is right on. You know what I mean? Because I think people don't want to be yelled at, but people have to be pushed. They have to be motivated. They have to be inspired. You guys have a really good feeling on how to do that on an individual basis, because there's no playbook for that. That's all individualized.
Yeah.
And I love walking into our meeting room in the morning and I hear our nutritionists what about this guy? What about this? He's struggling. And people really, and I'm like, wow, I love this. I love it.
Yeah. I'm going to echo your echo of his echo.
Okay.
But just
Mine a
really,
big echo
it's a big,
chamber here.
You got a big total echo chamber. But yeah, I think that's the thing that we're probably most passionate about is just how do we solve problems for folks. And I think that's a big piece is knowing it isn't just the X's and the O's. Like, if we sat in on the Cardinals at halftime of this last game where they came back to tie it, I'm sure he's not saying, like, guys, throw the ball and catch it. Like, that's just a rule of the game. Like, you have to maintain possession. Like, you have to abide by things, but it's not a strategy to win. And we talk a lot about that with our staff. It's like, people have to see results. That's just a given. But what is that next level of personal touch of, like, really seeing somebody, knowing them, knowing their story, their context, and then getting the best out of them so that way they can be their best version of themselves and see the results and feel great. So
Yeah, you guys are really good at recognizing that your client's success is your success.
Sure.
And it's teamwork.
yeah.
It has to be. It's the
Has-
only way
it
to be
has to be,
succeeding
yeah.
in it.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I'm about 20 months removed from my weight loss. Weight's
Holy.
still the same. But bigger than that, and I like being this weight, I like getting complimented on how I look because it didn't happen for a
And you
really
look
long time.
fabulous, by the way.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
But
Right, you do.
the bigger effect for me is just how it's changed how I look at food. And I've run into so many people now from advertising for you guys for so long and telling my story on the air. People see it happened to me just last night. I was at a restaurant and ran into a guy that I knew. He said, "Well, you can't eat any of this food here." I said, "Absolutely I can. But I also have a guide with me at all times to know, okay, I'm going to indulge a little bit here. I know what I need to do to get back to it." And that has been a godsend for me.
Yeah.
Because I was never like
completely
that. I
echo
just,
that. Yeah.
I was one of those eat whatever I want, whenever I want guys.
And that's why we run a test when you first come in, and then 9 weeks later we run another test specific to help us identify trigger foods. What are the foods that make you, if you gain 5 pounds, how do you take it off quick?
Yeah.
And I know mine, and we help our patients find theirs, and it's really nice because you can go out and eat and enjoy weddings and cake and wine, whatever, but you now have the tools to get back on track if you get off.
Yeah, and Vinny calls it getting back into fat burning mode, and I would completely echo that. That's another thing I like about the touch of this program, is that you guys understand human failure, and you understand that commitment to a program, it's hard to be 100% on every day all the time. Vinny and I, we both had periods where we fluctuate, but we both know now how to get into fat burning mode, and
You've
it's
got a team, you've got a blueprint
right.
to fall back on.
That's right.
Yep.
And the one thing that I noticed very early on, I think you appreciated it too, is you guys don't beat up your clients for being human,
Yeah,
for
totally.
making mistakes. You arm them with intelligence here.
Yeah.
We understand, we know, we get it, but this is what you need to get out of it.
Because
And
we've all been there.
We've all
done it.
been there.
Well, that's
been
new
there.
to me because I didn't
Yeah.
make any mistakes on the program.
Yeah, that's right. You're
was
an old
good.
one.
If we had 100 Vinnies, we'd be great.
right, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. There's a reason the rear view mirror is only 2% of your vision,
Yeah.
like your field of view. It's because it's only helpful in how it informs you going forward.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about that, and we've all done it. Like all of our staff have done this program, and most of their family members have. So we've been there. We've been in those moments where it's like, probably shouldn't have had that. But it's like, guess what? It's a deviation. Let's
Life
just call it
goes
what
on.
it is. Life goes on.
Right, yeah.
There's no shame. There's
No shame in it. That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think that's a big one of the things one of our coaches says a lot is like if nothing changes, nothing changes. Like there's going to be some lifestyle change. Like there's
Yep.
definitely some times where you're like, oh, this is hard. Like it's not this just like rainbows and unicorns all the time unless your guys' experience were different than mine.
But
No.
it's encouraging when you're seeing that scale move every day,
Totally.
and you're like,
Absolutely.
I'm not so, I don't need that piece of cake. It's 40 days to change your biochemical makeup so that you can move on. Because after, you've seen people, after divorce, after menopause, the birth of a child, stress, something internally goes haywire and they hold on to fat. And their old strategies for losing weight don't work. Diet and exercise doesn't work. A one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work. And so what our goal is to fix your metabolism so when you eat food, you burn it again. Like maybe when you were in high school, maybe not to that degree, but we can certainly get it better than where it is now.
Yeah, one of the things that I always like to say to it is so much of this, and Vinny and I take an incredible amount of pride because we can't go 2 days without running into people who have come to the program and succeeded in the program. We just did a live remote at Chapman BMW, and Ted Chapman, I had no idea he wasn't even involved in the program. He walked down and he looked like he was cut in half.
Wow.
Right? He looked like he looked unbelievably great. He's like, yeah, I think I'm going to go back and just do one more and just stay on this thing. And Vinny and I take such amazing pride because this is not just us endorsing and ascribing to a weight loss program. We're all doing something very valuable here, something very, very good. And if it isn't saving somebody's health or maybe even their life, what I like to say is that you're going to lose a lot of weight with Revitalize, but it's also what you gain. And there's such a sense of empowerment when you get through the program and you accomplish your goals and you feel that much better about yourself. I remember getting through day 20 without having a beer, and I remember waking up going, man, I feel good. I feel really awake and alert in the morning, and man, I'm actually proud of myself.
Yeah,
and you went through it too, because
Absolutely.
and you went big, and you went 40 days, and by the time you got to the end of it, you were like bulletproof,
Yeah.
because you never thought you could do that.
And
But what would you say to those guys that are like, I've tried diets, I've failed, I don't have willpower, every time I go by an ice cream store, I gotta buy it. I mean, how?
I would tell them they've never found the right program. That would be my response to them. The thing is, like I said, there are so many things intrinsic to this program that keep you going. You mentioned seeing the scale drop, seeing your weight drop. For me, there were a lot of different things. It was like, okay, just knowing that I was making myself well on the inside, seeing your markers come up, knowing that you're fighting visceral fat, the stuff that can literally take your
And I
life.
love that. I mean, you guys talk about this Bickley Marotta revolution, and we really have talked a lot about that internally.
Yeah.
Like, I think you have given a whole community of people like the permission to get help, but getting healthy is cool.
Yes.
In a sports world where typically it's like dad bod and beers and wings, and there's a place for that.
Yeah.
But to say like, actually, it's pretty cool to get healthy. It's pretty cool to like not have to be on blood pressure medications anymore. And I think to remove some of the stigma around being on a program, a lot of folks who come to see us that we crush it with are people who are like, I've never really done a diet. And it's like, well, this really isn't a diet. It's just understanding how to eat better.
Yeah.
And I think I want to thank you guys for that.
No, listen, we want to thank you guys because this has been a collective,
Yeah.
and the feedback we get from our listeners, we can hear the gratitude, because these are listeners who probably have tried many other diets, and they gain that skepticism like you had, like, hey, okay, you know what? It's not going to work, and if it does, I'm going to gain it all back the minute I go off it. So, and that's not the case here.
Well, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
Exciting.
you. Yes, you changed our lives.
Love that. I love hearing that.
It's
That never gets old. Never gets old.
Never.